$50,000 obligation to the family that inherited all of Stan Meyer's equipment, but then we also have this huge task ahead of us to set up a properly equipped laboratory and have the right personnel and scientists there working full-time on this. So it's happening right now, and we need your help, and I hope you all can help us.
Steve, I wanted to add a little technical comment here, if I may.
Sure.
There are a number of groups or individuals or small corporations around the United States, probably in the dozens, at least I know of about a dozen anyway, probably a lot more that I don't know of, that are building hydrogen booster systems or systems that produce a small amount of hydroxy gas or Brown's gas that is added to the fuel stream or the gasoline fuel stream for the automobile or truck. This addition of Brown's gas, we'll call it, does increase the fuel efficiency by anywhere between 5 and 25%, or slightly more depending on who you believe and how you test it. This is one of the problems with that technology. Now, it gets that increase in gas mileage by basically helping the fossil fuels, i.e. the gasoline, to burn more efficiently. Basically, internal combustion engines are rather inefficient in terms of their burning. A lot of the gas is not completely burned. It goes out the tailpipe, which is why one has
That's right.
A catalytic converter on the exhaust, which completes the burning process, basically just wasting heat. You know, if anybody's run into a catalytic converter that's been run for a while, they get pretty doggone hot. So what I'm getting at, that technology exists, but it's just aiding and helping. Part of the problem with that approach on the technology is that it literally takes more energy to produce the hydroxy or Brown's gas in terms of electricity, in terms of electrolysis, than is produced by the gas in the burning process.
Right.
It gets its increased efficiency, that 5 to 20% or so, by increasing the burning efficiency of the petroleum products or the gasoline. What we're talking about here, and what Stan Meyer did, was he figured out a way in which to break the water apart, producing brown gas or hydroxy gas, which much less electricity than can be produced, or much less energy than is produced in the burning process. So his process was a very effective, efficient process of breaking apart the water molecules by basically shaking them apart using the right frequencies and electric pulses and what have you.
Right.
When that is done, then you can use some of the power produced by the engine to drive a generator to produce the amount of electricity needed to break the water apart and still be ahead of the game. And that example that Dr. Greer gave of an engineer who had worked on the electric car process, where you use a Honda generator with a few hundred watts producing several thousand watts, is an example of that highly efficient process. That is the goal and what we're aiming for.
Yeah, and many people say, well, why doesn't that guy, or when he worked with General Motors, why don't those folks come out with this? And the answer is that he told us very directly that it was made very clear to him that this is a type of technology they do not want to get out, that it would be a, quote, game changer in the economy and with the oil sector. And let's face it, there's about $300 trillion in oil and gas and coal that a relative handful of countries and corporations and individuals own, and that those interests don't want something like this to replace oil. And so I think that we have to understand that this is both a technical challenge and a strategic challenge. And the strategic end of it is probably been the biggest problem, that many people over the past decades have come up with these sort of breakthrough technologies. We have in fact, there's a member of Congress that I have personally briefed on these issues, who is chairman of a committee in the Congress, and who has a friend, a very close friend of his, that used to work for the Department of Energy and was at a facility associated with the Oak Ridge National Laboratories in Tennessee, and who saw literally dozens of such devices that had been quote, black-shelled and suppressed, and that this is not a conspiracy theory of any type, that this is what happens when you have huge amounts of influence and power coming from a relatively small number of people. And I think that the only way to get around that is to not only have the public support the research rather than corporations and the government, but also to be able to have the public made aware of these breakthroughs very quickly, that you squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube so forcefully and so quickly that you cannot put it back in. And this is why we would get this in front of not only friendly people in the government, but also celebrities, the public, the media, so that the public knows that this is a legitimate scientific breakthrough and that it isn't going on secretively in some corporate lab or in some government lab that then disappears into the black pit of Calcutta. And this has unfortunately been the fate of many of these technologies, and this can be proven. And so I think that this is why our strategy with the OrionProject.org is a key part of what we're trying to do, and it involves you, the people listening to this, to understand that you have to be part of this solution, and if you're not, you really are part of the problem, because the public need to be educated. They need to support this financially, but then they need to also network this to their friends and families and coworkers and everyone in their email list. So go to the OrionProject.org and help us raise these funds for this research and to acquire this equipment that we have now been awarded. And I think that we're going to see some really major breakthroughs in 2009. It needs to be the year of new energy. It needs to be the year of solutions rather than just complaining about the problems. We need to come together as a people and find the solutions and share them with each other and not allow them to sort of disappear or wither on the vine, which is what's happened over and over again for so many years. We need to change that dynamic, and I think we're going to have some friendly people in the new administration on this. I think we have some, the public is now aware of the environmental crisis and global warming. I think the public is aware of the energy crisis and our vulnerability as a society to our dependence on imported oil. And I think that most people understand that the problems our society are facing have to be solved by all of us coming together to support this both scientifically and also socially, that we as a people have to say, look, it's time for this kind of information, these types of technologies, to have everyone's shoulder to the wheel to move forward and out to the world. I don't think a small group can do it, and this is why Ted and I are doing this interview today, is to say, look, we have just been told we have been awarded this very important legacy of Stan Meyer's equipment and notes, and that the public need to join with us to help us, and that if we get that assistance and we all pull together, I think we're going to see the world transformed in the coming 12 months.
Once this arrangements are finalized and the negotiations are complete on this, we certainly will be posting this information on the Orion Project and sending out in our newsletter. If you don't have, if you're aware of the Orion Project but would like to receive a newsletter about what we're doing, sort of breaking news, you can sign up for it on the OrionProject.org website.
Yeah, there is a place for you to sign up, and it's free, and it is the OrionProject.org, and there's a place where you can sign up and get our newsletter, and we'll notify people as soon as we take possession of this equipment and as soon as it gets back here to the University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia area, and we'll keep you updated on our progress, and more frequently than you'll be able to receive through radio interviews like this. So I think that if you want to do that, it will really help you kind of stay informed, because this is a very fast-breaking development, this as well as these other technologies that we're in the process of investigating and supporting through the Orion Project. I think our hour is up, and I would like to thank all of you for listening, and I particularly would like to thank the good folks at the World Puja Network for hosting us. You've been listening to Conversations with Dr. Stephen Greer, and I've been joined by Dr. Ted Loder. And thank you, Ted. And
you're very welcome, Steve, as always.
All right. And we will speak with all of you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Yep. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.